For me, the hardest part in witnessing is always the very beginning, starting the conversation. It's like jumping into a cold pool. Once you're in, it's not that bad. So I want to talk about how to actually start the conversation. And there's a lot of different methods out there. I'm not going to be talking about all of them, but some of the ones that work for me and for some of my friends. The first would be using certain types of gospel tracts to break the ice. And I have a pair of optical illusion cards. So oftentimes I'll go up to someone and say, which one do you think is bigger, the red or the blue? And they'll say, the red. And then I'll switch it and switch it. And they're very surprised. They don't know what's going on. Then I'll give them a pair. And this opens up a conversation where you can start to lead into something like, would you sell your eye for $1 million? And they would say, some people say yes, some people say no. Would you sell both eyes for $1 million? Well, probably no one would sell their eye for $1 million. Then you say, well, you wouldn't sell your eye for that much money. How much more worth does your soul have? And that leads you into something spiritual. And then we have certain questions that you can start off with. One of them that works really well for me is I'll go up to someone and ask, do you mind if I ask you a very controversial question? Well, who doesn't want a controversial question? So you ask them that, and then you say, what do you think happens to a person when they die? They might give you an answer like, well, I don't think anything happens. I think you just become part of the dirt. Some people might say, well, I think you're reincarnated into something, or they might bring up some other religion. And by the way they answer this question, you get a sense of what they believe, and you can kind of customize the way you're witnessing to them. Another one that one of my friends uses is really applicable for when you're out hanging out with friends and maybe somebody in the group isn't saved and you want to witness to them using more of a lighthearted conversation. So a good opening for something like that would be asking them, so what is the best thing that's ever happened to you in your entire life? They might say, well, it was when I bought my car, or maybe when I got married, or maybe the day I had my first kid. And then your response can be, well, the best thing that's ever happened to me is the day that I became a Christian. Probably the most effective way to start a conversation is the way Jesus did. And that would be to relate with them with something that they're already familiar with. Like with Jesus, with the woman at the well, like we talked about, he talked about natural water and related it with spiritual water. You can talk to them about their dog or something that you saw them do, and it brings up a conversation and you build rapport, and then you can turn that conversation into something spiritual.